What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Pierre, and this is Jason. And today we are back again with two more films that we watched online. The first being 12-Hour Shift, and the second being S House. I'm just going to call it S House. That's not the actual beginning of it. You can use your imagination what the S stands for, but we're trying to keep the show PG. So for this purpose, it's just going to be called S House. So those are the two films we'll be watching. Both films can be found streaming online. I do believe you have to pay for both of them, but we will be discussing both of those ones. Two fairly different films, so we'll definitely be talking about those and getting into that. Well, I say without further ado, we get right into it. So we'll go ahead and start with the first film, which is going to be 12-Hour Shift. And I'm going to have you go ahead and take that one away, Jason, if you want to tell us all about that film.
Sure. 12-Hour Shift is a kind of a dark comedy / thriller / semi kind of horror movie. It's also a One Crazy Night movie, which if you've been watching the show, you know, both of us are big fans of, One Crazy Night movies is what I call them.
Right.
This movie stars Angela Bettis, who really made an impression on me back in, I think, 2000, around there, with a movie called May. Which is still one of my favorite horror movies. And I've always wanted to see her in a lead role like that was as good as that role in that movie. And I think this qualifies for that. But she stars in here as a nurse who has kind of a sort of a black market organ trade deal going with not only other people, like a cousin by marriage, I think, in the movie. But basically, she has kind of to make more money, she has a black market organ trading gig, trading out organs for cash at this hospital. And the organization, they go more into the organization, but that's the gist of it. And this movie takes place on the night where she's supposed to be selling a kidney, to her cousin as part of this arrangement. And more or less, it's one of those movies where everything that could possibly go wrong does go wrong. So it is a One Crazy Night movie. I think in the description they call it kind of a heist movie. I don't know if it's really a heist movie, but it is kind of a worst possible night ever for a lot of people. At the same time, there is a convict staying overnight in the hospital, a murderer. And there's all these kinds of side plots that are kind of all boiling to a head at the same time over the course of this night. And it's not perfect, but I did really enjoy this movie for the most part. It's funny, it's dark, it is suspenseful, it's very unpredictable, it's weird, and I like weird. It's got, in particular, a really interesting musical score. I've never heard a music score quite like this one. But yeah, I really enjoyed it because I liked the kind of, it almost had like a screwball comedy feel to it because, in screwball comedies, they've got all these things going bad at the same time and kind of colliding into each other at the same time. So there's a whole lot of things going on. Angela Bettis is really good in it. Chloe Farnworth is really good in it, who I'm not familiar with her, but she plays the cousin. And David Arquette is actually the one playing the convict who's also staying the night in the hospital. So yeah, it's not perfect. I think toward the end, it starts to kind of, I was really on board for like the first hour. I think in the last half hour, it starts to kind of fall apart a little bit, but I was never not enjoying myself. So, it's not perfect, but I did have a good time with this one. If you have a strong stomach and you like your comedy really, really dark, it might be worth checking out. What about you, Kier?
Yeah, I didn't quite like it as much as you did. I thought it was a little over the top, a little silly, and not too believable. So, and I felt like the story completely falls apart at the end. At the end, it just becomes like a hijinks, film that just everything boils to a head and happens all at once. So I mean, I don't know. I can't say I was completely bored throughout the entire film, but I don't know. It was just a little over the top. Not something I would personally revisit again. I didn't find it to be particularly funny, particularly smart film. But not that all films have to be super smart, but I don't know. Everybody's really dumb in the film. Everybody does really dumb things in the film. And I just didn't find it that funny though. You know what I mean? I don't mind films if people aren't smart, like a Dumb and Dumber comedy, but it's like a dark comedy that's not really, and nobody's really bright in the film. You're not really sympathetic towards anybody in the film because they're all kind of bad people for the most part. So I don't know. It just didn't do much for me. It just didn't move me in any way, one way or another. So I just thought it was okay overall, but very, like I said, very silly, kind of cheesy towards the end as well. So that was my overall take.
All right, sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely going to be an acquired taste kind of film. I don't think everybody that watches this film is going to love it. It just depends on kind of, who you are and kind of whether you're going to jive with it. And I don't know. It just, for me, there's just, I don't know. There's just too much going on, and it was just, too messy. Like you said, especially after the first hour or so, it gets really, really messy and just silly and wacky and just over the top. And, and I don't know, some people might be okay with that, but I had a problem with it. So, so for me, it did bother me, and I was just kind of ready for it to wrap itself up by the end. So, but sounds like you enjoyed it better than I did. So,
yeah,
yeah. But me personally, I won't be revisiting it. So,
okay.
All right. So, anything else you wanted to add about 12-Hour Shift?
Nope. Wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, but I had fun with it.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the best thing I've ever seen. But not the worst movie I've seen of the year, but definitely not gonna revisit. So, cool. Well, that was pretty easy, quick and short and sweet. Yeah. Moving on to our second film, which is going to be S-House, as we said. So as you can tell by the lettering, that's not going to be for just S-House. So it's basically a romantic light comedy because it's not that funny overall. It's kind of a comedy in some parts, but it's more serious. So it basically, I think it was written and directed by this guy Cooper Raiff, I believe. I didn't know him prior to this movie, so I don't think he's been anything prior to this. So he basically wrote it. He's like a freshman in college. He just moved away from home, and he's very sensitive. So he misses his family. I don't think he's ever been away from his family for very long. He's had a death in the family as well. So he sounds like he's still probably partially dealing with that. And I don't know, the movie is titled S-House because of this party that they go to, and that's kind of sort of where he meets this girl that also basically is the resident advisor for his dorm room, and they kind of strike up a friendship and kind of a romance kind of thing going on. But they're both kind of broken people, and the girl is Dylan Julula. I didn't know her that well either. So she's got her own set of issues. She's kind of a wild girl, if you will, like very open and free in terms of relationships. So but for some reason he's really drawn to her, and they really have like a night which takes up most of the movie, really. It's like one night takes up a good portion of the movie where they're just like walking, talking, hanging out, sharing their feelings and their stories about life. And I thought that was going to be kind of the whole movie, but then it goes into like, days after or the next day where she basically kind of like blows him off the next day because she's already on to the next guy that she's wanting to date and see. And he was really into her, so he's still kind of like following her and that kind of stuff. And that's basically kind of where the film goes from there. I don't want to give you the whole story basically, but that's kind of in a nutshell the film. Actually, I'm not describing it the best, and I'm probably not making it sound like it's a really cool film, but I actually did like it quite a bit. I thought it was actually kind of fun. It's a different story. Like I said, it's more serious. There's some humor in it. But I thought the two leads had pretty good chemistry, and it's mostly the two of them outside of like a couple friends they encounter or him making phone calls to his mom and sister. But it's mostly the two of them for the most part of the film. But overall, I definitely did enjoy it. I thought it was a good film. Definitely a good, like, I guess romantic comedy, if that's what you want to call it. It's kind of hard to really describe it as that though, because it's not like overly funny. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun overall. So, what was your take, Jason?
Yeah, I liked it too. I like you. I kind of thought I didn't know too much about it before I watched it. You know, I on purpose I try to avoid knowing as much as I can about movies these days. I don't even watch trailers really. But so I didn't know anything going in, and I like you. I kind of assumed after a certain point that the one night was going to be the entire movie. It was going to be kind of like it was like Before Sunrise for millennials or something almost, kind of is what I
Right.
thought it was going to be, which I was fine with. Um, but yeah, it does move on into the next day and much later actually. And yeah, I liked it. I thought both of the actors were really good. At some point in the middle, I did get a little bit tired of the main character.
He's a
He's a
little
little
whiny.
annoying at
He's a
times.
little annoying, and he's a little whiny also, which some people may not be a big fan of. He is a little whiny, and he's a little. I'm sorry. What did you say? What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Can you hear me? Oh, I didn't say
Oh,
anything.
I thought you might have frozen up or something there. You were talking, and then I didn't hear what you're saying. But I can edit that out later. But yeah, he comes across as very just whiny, in my opinion, and he's like overly sensitive. Like I've never seen a guy like as sensitive he is. I mean, he just starts crying like all the time towards the second half of the film, and you're like, what is he crying about? You know what I mean? Like if college life is this bad for you, then move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I guess if you're trying to stick it out and be an adult or whatever case may be. But I don't know. It was yeah. He does get a little annoying. I would agree with you, especially in the second half of the film. But overall, I enjoyed the story. I thought it was a decent love story. There's definitely some questions I would have, being him with dating her, because I don't think that she's exactly, girlfriend material, but teach their own. So, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film. I thought the acting was pretty good, especially for two people that I don't think had been in very many films before. I thought the acting was pretty good. He might have been a little over top with his sensitivity, but for the most part, I thought he did a pretty good job as well. So
Yeah, I'm a sensitive guy. I have a close relationship with my mom. I had a tough time adjusting to college, but even for me, at a certain point, I was like, dude, come on, grow up a little. Jeez. So, but like after that point, though, it did win me back again toward the end. So, and I liked it best when it was being funny. Actually, I really liked the roommate character. And I really liked the one guy who only had like two scenes that he was like in line with for the bathroom at the S house,
oh, right, yeah.
the really, really drunk guy. And yeah, I thought he was great. He only has two scenes, but I think I want to move a whole movie about that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun movie. It wasn't, I've seen better, but it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, like I said, I thought it was a fun film. I enjoyed the dialogue, the conversations they have. Like I said, me, I'm always a big fan about really good conversations that people get into. It doesn't necessarily matter the topic, but as long as it's an interesting conversation, I'll be into it if the conversation is interesting, anyways, or interests me. But so I did enjoy that aspect of the movie. And I guess he was kind of a first time director, so I kind of will give him a little bit of leeway that some of the things were a little, because it felt like a couple different movies. You know what I mean? Because there was like this whole long night that takes up like almost an hour of the movie, but then they continue thereafter with additional days and so forth at that point. So there was definitely some questions I had there as well.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to research this, but I have. I wonder if it is somewhat autobiographical too. I mean, since he wrote this, directed it, and starred in it, I'm betting it's probably a little bit autobiographical, but I don't know for sure. It felt that way though, for sure.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It probably does. It probably is that way. I would imagine that it's got to be some sort of. There's probably some sort of influences that he had when writing the film, which a lot of writers do. So, but yeah, I can imagine that too. And that's also a big chance you've never done anything before to write, direct, and star in your own movie. So that you're really putting yourself out there for that one for sure, especially on your first film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
It's one thing if you're a very accomplished, director, if you're, Denzel Washington in Fences or something of that, you know what I mean? Like whatever case may be, or whatever the film is, and you want to write and, well, he didn't write it, but you want to star and direct it and that kind of stuff. Then I totally get that, but it's a little more like you're taking a gamble, man, but no, I thought he did pretty good for his first run out the gate. I did Google him afterwards because I had never seen him before, but he looked familiar to me. So I did Google him just to see if I saw him in anything else, and really he hadn't been in anything before that. He was like in a couple like shorts or something like that, but that was it. So
Yeah.
cool.
Not bad for a first time.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, we at least both like that one. But let's get into those reviews, man. So let's start with the 12-hour shift overall grade and face you would give that one.
12-hour shift, I really enjoyed it. I give it a 4 out of 5, which is a B plus. Granted, I almost went with the 3.5 out of 5, but I did bump it up in the end because I did enjoy it. I really like Angela Bettis. I like the craziness and the way everything's boiling to a head at the same time. It's my kind of movie in a lot of ways, even though it's not perfect. So I give it a 4 out of 5, a B plus, which is a nice solid smile.
Yeah, that's pretty. 4 out of 5. That's pretty bold, man. Yeah, I went considerably lower on that one. So yeah, I went with a 2 out of 5 on that one for me. So I thought it was just okay. There wasn't a whole lot that I could see myself really wanting to revisit it for. So I went to 2 out of 5, and like I said, it's okay. I wasn't bored necessarily, but it is really over the top in many parts. So so that did definitely bother me a little bit. So but yeah. And then moving on to S House, overall grade and face you would give that one.
I gave that a 3.5 out of 5, which is a solid B. It probably would have been higher if it didn't kind of I didn't start to be a little annoyed by the characters for a short time in the middle there. But then it got me back toward the end. But that's a B, so it's a nice solid, good smile. It was fun.
Yeah, and I didn't. Yeah, my face on the other one was just a straight face, so it was just.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, on S House, I definitely like that one considerably better. I went to 3 out of 5 on that one though. So I went with 3 out of 5, and yeah, I agree with some of the gripes with him being a little whiny and a little overly sensitive. I think they could have pulled that back maybe just a little bit in some scenes, but other than that, I thought it was a pretty good solid film. So I wanted a 3 out of 5, and I'm just gonna go with the big smile with no teeth. So yeah. Cool. Well, those are the two films that we reviewed. Let us know down in the comments if you've seen either or both films. Did you like them? Did you not like them? Are we wrong? Are we right? As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our updates. And we will be back again soon with another show for you. We thank you guys for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye.